talk about male worship because it is getting really bad out here with these men in the government making these laws for women. They are trying their best to get women to submit and to worship them again. And I think that is where male worship starts, in the church. Any church, every religion teaches male worship to women. It teaches women to bow down, that they're under the man, because it's God, the man, the woman, and the children. And I really feel like that if there is a devil, he is the one that flipped this all upside down. We see male worship globally, but it's not natural. It is forced, like in every country. They make laws where they want boys to be born and not girls, like in China, where they had the one child in the home rule. But if it was a girl, they were taking the girls out so that one and first child would be a boy. They're making laws here that are saying that if women don't get married now by a certain age, they're going to have to pay $17,000 more in taxes if they don't have children and don't get married now. I think it's by the age of 30. The SAVE Act is trying to make it hard for women who have changed their names in marriage to get to be able to vote. So they are really trying to roll back women's rights in order to force women to be with men. And I don't think this is going to want to make women want to get married and have kids. And even if they do get married, they're not going to change their last name. They're going to keep their last name. But it all starts in the church. It's bad in all forms of our life. It has infiltrated us, and we were taught to worship men. We were taught that a male God is the one who gave us life, but we were also taught that male God kept taking his creation out because it wasn't doing what he wanted it to do. It wasn't acting right. And if we can see now, that is what women are doing globally. We're not taking them out, but women globally are deciding not to give birth because their creation that they laid on that hospital bed for 2 days, sometimes died for, their creation, the creation that women created in their bodies for 10 months. We've never seen a man do this now, but the Bible tells us otherwise. We come from the rib of a man, but we've never seen this in real life. That creation is taking us out. So women are saying, if I have to birth my oppressor into this world, I'll just choose not to do it. If I get the choice, I'll just choose not to do it. So men are trying to take away that choice. They're trying to force you to do it by taking away birth control, by getting rid of abortions. Well, they don't really want black women to have more babies. They don't want brown people to have more babies. They want to force white women to have more babies. And I know black women think that this is not our fight, but it really is, because if they're going to oppress their own women, the women that look like them, and treat them like trash, how do y'all think that's going to fare for black women? If black men are not in power, black men don't own anything, black men don't make any laws, black men don't have the power or not to whether they get a good paying job and can take care of their families if they get you pregnant. And even if they do, they're not going to take care of you. If they don't change the law that says they can't marry out, black men once they do get money, they're not going to take care of you and your kids. It's a known fact. We see that. And even if they are in the house bringing in money, they're not going to help you with those kids 9 times out of 10. If you're that one black man that does, and you hear this, move on about your way. If you're that one black woman who has a man that does more than bring money, I'm not talking about you. You are a minority. We're talking about the majority. I'm never going to say not all. I'll say 9 times out of 10. I'll say most. I'll say majority, but I will never tell y'all not all. But yeah, the male worship has to stop, and that is why I'm telling y'all ladies that this year y'all need to share these videos, not just mine, any video that you see that is talking about this, because it's going to be suppressed more and more and more. Because there are still women out here that are calling us Jezebels and calling us feminists like that's a bad thing. Like, I got a niece that just became a Christian like a year ago, and when I met up with her and we were talking about some things, I got called a Jezebel and a feminist all in the same conversation, because she's a Christian now. So there are still women getting sucked up into this and think that women should submit to these men, even though they see what's going on in these churches, even though they hear these pastors getting up and saying women should not have bodily rights, they should not be able to vote, they should listen to their pastors in all things, whether he's wrong or right. These Christian conservative white nationalist pastors, this is what they are telling these young women. They are going to college campuses trying to convince these young girls that their education is not important. As a matter of fact, the government is coming for education, coming for college. So women will be stuck with men and not have an education and have to depend on men who don't want an education. What does a world look like if that's what they're trying to do? I will tell you what it looks like. It looks like the world that we had in the 1800s, where the women were slaves, where black people were slaves, where everybody was slaves but white men. So if y'all don't start fighting back and pushing back any kind of way you can, that means in the local government, they're trying to get women out of the government too. They're trying to get women out of like spaces like hospitals, anything that women can make money and have more autonomy, they're trying to get us out of it. So I suggest y'all start pushing back in any way you can on a personal level. I know a lot of us think there's nothing we could do about it, but do you know how many of us that there are? If we push back, it is not going to be easy for them. So we have to make it hard for them. They're like taking the volume out of some of our videos. I have watched other creators' videos where there were long chunks of the volume taken out because they're trying to stop us by any means necessary, which tells me it's not natural. It's not natural for a woman to just submit and to serve a man just because the Bible told them to. If it was natural to women, women wouldn't be fighting back. Women would have a good feeling about this, and our fight or flight survival instincts would not be kicking in right now, ladies. So let me get into these videos, and I will talk to you ladies later. Bye.
Worshipped other women the way society trains us to worship men, we would have built heaven on earth by now. We were taught to center men, to prioritize them, believe their success, safety, comfort, and needs mattered more than our own. And unfortunately for us, most of us didn't even realize we were doing it. Because from the time we are little girls, we are taught to seek male attention and approval, to seek men's validation, to be pretty for the boys, sit still, be polite, and shrink ourselves so that we don't intimidate them. And meanwhile, the boys are taught that they are the main characters, that women simply exist to support them as mothers, teachers, girlfriends, therapists, assistants, secretaries, office managers, and cheerleaders. We don't call it male worship, but that's exactly what it is. It's the subtle belief that men's emotions, ambitions, and egos matter more than our boundaries, our brilliance, or our bodies. If you think I'm being dramatic, let me show you. The average female character in a movie simply exists to move the male's storyline forward. Women are taught to take a man's last name, but men aren't taught to consider taking hers. We praise dads for babysitting their own children, but criticize moms for anything less than perfection. When a man speaks, it's confidence. When a woman speaks, it's too much. And when a man fails, he is offered grace and forgiveness and redemption. But when a woman fails, she's discarded. Still, we blame ourselves for not being enough. And that's the spell. That's the veil. Male worship isn't just a mindset. It's a strategy, a system, a way to keep women quiet, to keep them distracted and competing with each other, while men maintain control. It's why we're underpaid, overworked, sexualized, criminalized for fighting back, why our bodies are regulated, why our pain is ignored, why we're afraid to be angry or express emotions where they can spin it and call us crazy. We need to acknowledge that the world only works because women hold it together. We raise the children. We heal their wounds. We manage the chaos. We birth the future. So if you're feeling like something is off, it's because it is. If you're tired of centering men while you abandon yourself, you are not alone. If you're ready to stop worshiping them, become the woman you have always been meant to be, this is your wake-up call. I'm Emily. I show women how to rise because healed women will heal humanity.
I've been trying to put my finger for the longest time on why boy moms have a horrible rep. Every time I see a video from a woman posting about her son or whatever, I just get this really icky feeling. I think I finally figured it out. And it's because you're a woman, but you over-identify with maleness. You over-identify with the patriarchy. This is why we have this whole idea that boys are easier to raise, etc. No, boys just get away with more from their boy moms because of the patriarchy. Because under the patriarchy, grown men get away with a lot. So why not a boy? Right? You're over-identified with the system that oppresses you while giving your son an unfair advantage. It's almost like you're trying to live vicariously through these boys, and this is what makes them easier to raise. I think this sneaks up on them, okay? So I'm not sure that this is like a very deliberate process. I think this sneaks up on them because as you're like raising this boy and he's so easy to raise and da-da-da-da, it's because you're overly male identified and you're okay with doing things for him. Whereas if you had a daughter, you'd be like, no, you need to learn how to do this yourself. You're like overly identified with making sure your boy succeeds, but you know that for most men, it takes a woman in their life to succeed. So you start doing all these things for him. And because you're doing that, you develop the almost unhealthy attachment to that. It's like the Benjamin Franklin effect, where you have done so many favors for your son that you see him completely differently than your daughter. Like your daughter is automatically a burden that needs to be mitigated, but your son is like your priceless work of art that you feel like you have sculpted with your own hands. But the reality is, the only thing you did with your hands was the work for him. So he is a useless piece of trash. Sorry, that just came out, but he's a useless piece of trash. He can't even clean his own room. So what do as a overly male identified woman? You bring in another woman. Oh my God. You guys know the guy who makes those like insufferable boyfriend videos? This is why he has the man child always call his mom, because he's so used to his mom triangulating other women in order to help him move through the patriarchy exactly as he was intended to. This is why we talk about these boy moms with such disdain sometimes, because essentially they are reinforcing the patriarchy, because now you have burdened this poor girl who is your son's like high school girlfriend or whatever. They're probably not even going to be dating in a year or two. But what you have done is you have laid the responsibility on her shoulders of your precious baby boy's well-being, because you know deep down that you did not prepare him for the real world. So now you're looking for another woman to take up that mantle, that yoke or whatever, and strap herself in as the horse while your precious baby boy sits in the fucking cart and does whatever the fuck he wants. That's why it's fucking annoying. That's why these women have this uncanny quality about them, and you just can't put your finger on it. You're like, why are you so annoying? This is why. Because I have never seen a boy or a boyfriend be called in to help clean a girl's room. Like, that is not something that exists in our society as like a go-to, whereas this, bringing in the girlfriend to either shame the boy into something or help him with a basic task that all adults should know how to do. Meanwhile, this boy is like days away from being a legal adult and he does not know how to clean his room, and he finds no motivation in it. Do you know why? Because he grew up watching his mom do it. And the older he gets and the more he connects those like patriarchy parallels and dots, he realizes, oh, that is women's work. So why is my mom trying to get me to clean my room? I'm not going to do that because I'm not a girl. And it's not that important to me to live in a clean room. Like, this whole time you're thinking, oh, boys are easy to raise, blah, 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 blah. That's because you're not teaching them half the values that you have to teach a girl. under the patriarchy. You have to take care of yourself. You have to wash your ass crack. You can't be smelling bad. Your room can't be messy, because women are tasked with doing all of the unpaid labor in our society. Of course, your boy doesn't want to clean his own room. That's unpaid labor that you used to do for him. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, you have to do it yourself, like you're about to be a grown man or whatever. You haven't taught him the value of hard work, because you strapped yourself into that yoke like a horse. So now your only option to be able to take that yoke off is to trick another woman into taking up for your son. I hope this helps. Stay safe out there, ladies, especially if you're a young woman. Watch out for these boy moms, because this will be your worst nightmare as a mother-in-law. This will be your worst nightmare as another woman, because she will never have solidarity with you. She's going to have solidarity with her son, because he grants her access to patriarchal approval, benefits, and just like her overall male-centeredness is much more reinforced by him being like happy with her. So she's never going to care if you're happy with her. She's only going to care that her baby boy is happy, because she's male-centered. Godspeed.
Y'all should know that like Jesus or none of that shit is real, because they say God is life. That means that life is God. If they wasn't going to paint a picture of all the species out here, all the genders, that's how you know it's a lie. It's a contradiction. Like, how arrogant you got to be to like, yeah, God is the nigga that look like me, but he got to be white though. Fuck the women, fuck the animals, the children, like, basically. And y'all believe, everybody who it's a problem for, they believe in it. The women, the black people, the LGBTQ community. I think they got groups to march and protest. They don't even know who it's about. It's about their religion. A religion that told the people they marching against to be like this. It's about God, right? These motherfuckers are confused because they scared of God. They scared of hell, but you're marching and protesting about the hell you're going through because of what you believe. Imagine that. You ain't gonna never be free. You're wasting your time walking around, marching and protesting the white man who hate everybody. Their Bible told them to do that. Y'all believe in a religion more than them. You help make them feel like they God, because you'll worship a man and a white one. Subscribe to my YouTube.
The most untrustworthy men are men who are overly religious and zealous about their belief in God. You would be surprised to find out how many religious men are actually lustful, and they're using their religion and their belief systems to hide behind their actual behavior. I was a Christian myself for nearly 5 years, and throughout my time of being a Christian and walking with God, the amount of lustful, controlling, possessive, toxic, and insecure men that I met was unbelievable. Because here you have a man on the podium preaching about God, preaching about love, preaching about fidelity, preaching about faithfulness, and he's doing the exact opposite at home. A lot of men who are overly religious, they tend to not live in accordance with their own beliefs, and they are the biggest hypocrites. And I'm saying that because there's been a lot of women who I've been speaking to recently on this account, and they've told me that they're looking for a God-fearing man who loves God and who loves Christ. That God-fearing man might fear God, but he may not fear losing you, because some of the biggest cheaters who I've ever seen in my life personally were always religious men who claimed to believe in God, and they claimed to love the Bible and all these things.
There's a question, right? For all these black women who make videos about decentering men, let's make this clear, right? You only talk about decentering black men because you worship white men, right? Then when you see these brothers talking about getting their passports and they date women of other races, y'all hop on her and talk shit then. Yet you are trying to decenter men. So if you're trying to decenter men, why are you so upset that these men are getting their passports and they're talking to women of other races? I never understood that.
So let's get into this one. So I was talking with one of my friends, and majority of my friends are women of color. And I was also raised by women of color. And she was saying, in her opinion, she feels that women of color are too brainwashed by male worship. In fact, it's really clear women who are super brainwashed by male worship. I mean, aren't clear women the ones who are majority gonna vote for an SA predator to be the president? Reason being is because clear women have always started the whole stay-at-home mom, live off a man's money thing, right? That's always really been clear women's stay-at-home mom, luxury, soft era thing. Why? Because women of color were always forced to work. And men of color never had enough money for women of color to live off of. So there was no soft era, ever, for women of color. Forcing women of color to be more educated and career-oriented and independent and not male worshiping. Now, clear women male worship because it's always told, get married, have a baby, and live off a man's money. That's the model for most clear women, because most clear women had that privilege that they didn't have to work or go to school. But eventually they learned that financial independence is freedom, and that they no longer wanted to be dependent on a man. So that's where feminism came in to the civil rights movement. Although nobody gave a fuck about what women of color been going through forever. Shit, women of color were forced to work for free for a long time, and also put on breeding farms, breeding plantations, and forced to be birthing people and have children that the clear woman would beat to death. Yeah. My mother is one of many other clear mothers I know who choose a man over her child. And I'm not saying women of color don't do it, but they don't do it as much as clear women. They don't. Clear women, statistically, always stay married, rarely get divorced. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Because my father was a predator who used to touch on me and abuse me and my sister. And my mother is still married to him to this day and still defends him and enables him. My sister can't stand other women. Just like a lot of clear women, she's vindictive towards other women, jealous towards other women. These are the type of women that are jealous of their daughters. These are the type of women that can't maintain genuine friendships with other women. And a lot of clear women like being a part of the patriarchy. They like being his fave. They feed into it, they enable it, and they keep that fucking ball rolling. Clear women are the main ones who are keeping the patriarchy intact. There's a lot of women of color who are getting on board with, you know, being more independent, not centering men, decentering men. I really have way more friends who are women of color. I don't even have friends who are clear women because they're always vindictive or phony, or again, we don't share the same mindset or see the world the same way, and most of them don't decenter men. They center men. A lot of clear women are misogynistic. A lot of clear women can't stand other women. A lot of clear women can't stand other women. I don't think I've ever had a genuine friendship with a clear woman a day in my life. And that is very much prevalent. Marriage and having a man, that's a big thing. And clear women literally worship their men to the point they make it their whole personality. They attack other women. They literally hate themselves. Like, they literally support the men's agenda. My sister always says, I love men, I can't stand women. You know, they're not girls. They want to be one of the guys. They don't want to get rid of patriarchy. They want to live under it. Now, there's clear women like myself who had mothers and siblings who, you know, chose men over us, and we're completely fed up and against it. And no, not all clear women are the same. And there are women of color who also worship males. But again, women of color didn't have the luxury to be stay-at-home moms and not work. They were always forced to work, and men of color never had enough money for women of color to just stay home. So women of color have always been a little bit more educated and career-oriented and financially independent than clear women have. And this is why men of color complain about women of color being single mothers or bash them, because they're angry. They're angry, always comparing the statistics and data of marriages that last longer, and oh, clear women always stay married, and black women have the highest rate of divorce because black women don't stay with people who are abusive. They don't stay in relationships that don't serve them, unlike clear women. And this is the reason why a lot of men of color are running to clear women. Not because it's their preference, not because they find them more attractive, because they worship males. They center males. And black women don't. They don't. And if you hear it from a lot of men of color, that's their biggest complaint. That black women want to be single mothers, that they want to leave. They complain that black women do not center males, so they run to the women who do. Because I hear this from a lot of My friends who are women of color who get fed up with, you know, a lot of women. But guess what? It's way worse for us white women. Way worse. I don't even have a single clear woman friend. And I don't think I ever could, because of the way their minds work. It's either they want to be a part of the patriarchy, they want to, you know, embody it. They're not on board with decentering men. They're 100% male worshippers. That's why most of them are Trump supporters. And I'm white. I'm a clear woman. Reason I'm saying clear is, if you don't know already, I've been banned on TikTok 1,000 times, and everything I say gets reported for hate speech. So I use words that can't get reported as hate speech. Yes. Even things that don't go against community standards, they take me down for, because a lot of people don't like what I'm doing.
I feel like some African women forget that worshiping or idol is actually a sin. Why are you idolizing your husbands? Why are you now referring to them as Lord? Why are you kneeling to your husband? If you are giving a man that treatment, what are you giving to God? What is reserved for God if a man can be considered Lord, if you can kneel to him, if you can ask him for permission to stand up, if he literally controls you, what do God get? Y'all are literally, those are the false prophets. Y'all are making your husbands the false prophets. The pastor in church that think that it makes sense to refer to men, your husband, as Lord, is crazy. Your husband is not your God. God is your God. And if you think it makes sense, you are worshiping a false idol. You are worshiping your husband. You are going to hell.
I'm worshiping men that don't even buy them anything. It's so weird. He's never even got you flowers or opened a door for you or treated you like a queen in any way. No. If you're going to treat someone like a king, he better be treating you like a fucking...
He makes me uncomfortable when I see somebody, especially a person of color, talking about America is a Christian nation. Like, yeah, that was the religion they used to keep slaves as slaves and to assimilate the indigenous people that they didn't slaughter. Like, that religion definitely has its claws in this country, like, for sure.
Okay, serious question. I'm gonna piss some people off here, but Christian men, how much of your faith is based on a true desire to know Jesus, and how much of it is based on insecurity and the need to manipulate and control women? If that pissed you off, then there's your answer.
We are witnessing the collapse of male idolization. That patriarchy has taught us to idealize and idolize maleness, such that it ignores and it teaches us to be desensitized to dysfunctional behavior. There is a program that requires in this system that we justify, excuse, and explain away dysfunctional male behavior in order to uphold systems, in order to uphold the status quo. We are literally watching the karmic returns happen right before our eyes. That even as we've been taught, programmed into this idea that authority is best in male form, that men are leaders, and that they're better leaders than women, and that they can be entrusted with leadership while they simultaneously cannot be entrusted to support, to honor life, or to have self-control, is giving us an opportunity to cleanse out whatever maleness program we still have within our system. The one that's allowed disgusting and dysfunctional male behavior to be funny, to be innocent, to be not that big a deal, to be a woman's fault, to be a woman's responsibility to support, to defend, to uphold, and to accommodate. These are the kinds of ideologies. When you look at these idols, because maleness is an idol, whiteness is an idol, religion is an idol, and
these three function together. That whiteness is to uphold white men. White women are elevated by default of their proximity to white men, but that the system of white supremacy itself was to uphold dysfunctional white men. That the system of Christianity supports a deity. And I think this is ultimately why we must defend men, because we've been spending years defending a violent, human, dysfunctional male God who asked the father of the faith to sacrifice his son, who trafficked Job just to prove a point, who erased the entire human race because he got tired and frustrated with his own creation. And that in this telling of this story, that the feminine principle was completely erased. That female leadership is seen as a punishment to men. That when men don't do their part, then women will take charge. It's almost like a threat to men. Meanwhile, this entire creation, in Genesis 1:1, it says that darkness was upon the face of the deep. And that the darkness itself is the feminine principle, is the womb space. That this entire thing, that light literally derives from the darkness. The idea that women are not leaders as they birth the entire human race is one of the greatest illusions that we've taken on, that we've absorbed. And it represents a collective sleep. Marianne Williamson mentions this. She says that he was mentioned to have slept, but never did it say he awakened. And we are in a time where we get to wake up and cleanse the need to defend harmful behavior just because it's occurring in a man. The bottom line is, this is so much more extensive that just like white supremacy, just like the illusion of separation from divinity, reaches so far that it's hard to even quantify all the things that it affects. But that this is an opportunity for us to cleanse out whatever parts of ourselves that are still so male identified that we support the degradation of life itself.
Wow, you want to get into this? Okay. White team, let's go! First of all, why are you shitting on black queens for no damn reason? I'll tell you why, because you reek of misogyny. But let's talk about why you came to me for. It is a known thing in our society. Young, beautiful Asian women sell themselves out to old, ugly-ass white men. Essentially, it's the mail-order bride business model. Who invented that, though? Men. So Asian women looked at that business model and said, oh, I'm the business. I'm the commodity. The women that are in particularly impoverished situations in their home countries where they get shitted on by their own countrymen. Because a lot of times women in Asia are treated like second-rate citizens, surrounded by men that cheat and beat on women, come home drunk and expect them to provide income. They say to themselves, you know what? If I'm gonna get shitted on by men, I might as well get shitted on by a white man that can provide a bathroom so I can clean myself up afterwards and be able to take a shit for myself on an ivory throne. So yeah, a lot of women that don't feel like they got options make that choice. And now let's compare that to Asian bros. What are they selling out for? A night of rancid white pussy that can't tell the difference between their foot of a face and Jimin? Or Taeyang? You think that shit looks the same? I mean, if you think that, that's your opinion. But I'll tell you what, Asian women do better business. Because when they sell out, at least they get food, shelter, and their bills paid. But when Asian bros sell out, they're just left with a musty stank.
Plead. Guilty. And in CC 23-889, as to the misdemeanor offense of making a false police report, how do you plead?
Guilty. And all of that over a man. Over a boy that wouldn't do the same. And even if he would. We're talking about the lady in this case. There was a lot of press when this came out, and I stayed out of those videos. I did not want to know the details. I had the gist of what occurred, and I just thought to myself, When did we get to the point that we have to go to these lengths for male attention? And this will never take away from the fact that if her mental health is suffering from this experience, that is definitely something that we're going to be empathetic towards, and that I wish her all the best in getting that together. But for those of us from the outside looking in, enough embarrassing ourselves. It's enough. Imagine having a clean record, and the one time that you do get something on it is because you wanted a boy's attention. Oh, bury me before that ever happens. It's enough, women. It's enough. It's enough. We just end it.